boys and girls, welcome along to another video with me, Jenny Kirk, and we're going to be doing another unboxing and review video. Now, new model railway items have been a little bit thin on the ground over the last year or so, and this is mainly down to supply issues from China. But it's also meant that second-hand stuff has started to fetch a bit of a premium, and there are a lot of really good models out there that have been done in the past, and it's a shame in a way that there is this supply issue, because certain models have become very difficult to find. Now, I haven't bought this second hand, I actually bought this new, but way back in days gone by, when this model first turned up, I was really quite taken by it. It's one of the first steam locomotive models that I bought. Back then I was very rigidly trying to model the BR Blue tops period. But this was one of what turned out to be quite many locomotives that really caught my eye and made me think, oh, sod it, it's my rail, I'll just do whatever the hell I want. It's supposed to be a hobby, and hobbies are supposed to be fun. And fun doesn't normally involve denying yourself things. So I bought myself one of these Hornby Q1s. It's a bit of an ugly duckling. There is one still surviving, a bit of dust on there, it's because it's been in storage for a while. But we have here, it's R2344A, the Class Q1 locomotive 33006. I actually bought this one because it was the one that Hornby produced that was ready weathered. And it comes in their older style packaging. In fact, it's still got the sticker at the back from the shop that I bought it from. A shop that will be sadly missed. It's long closed down now. The Farnworth Rail and Model Centre in Kearsley and Bolton. Unfortunately, the proprietor of that shop, I'm told, died, and it was quite sudden, quite sad. But I used to go there an awful lot for stuff, and he always used to have people propping up his counter who just be like, no, yabbering and yabbering, looking at things, never buying anything. If they'd have been in a pub, you'd have called them a barfly. But he always used to smile when I came in, because he knew that if I looked at something, I would invariably end up buying it, flush as I was with money back then. You know, first job after university, no house or overhead, still living with parents, so of course, yeah, I did buy an awful lot of stuff. But sliding out here, and for the time, this packaging was fairly similar in a way to the Bachmann packaging, and I quite like these, with acres and acres of polystyrene. I don't think the environment liked them very much, but it's only environmentally damaging if you send these for landfill or burn them. Well, it's still here, so it's doing its job, so it's not really harming anybody. And we've got this, Hornby really do like going for these. They have the printed picture insert that sits on top of the locomotive in the box. And it does show the locomotive off to its best, but it isn't the actual locomotive. We've got the super detail logo there, something which they revived, which had originally been part of the Hornby 00 mantra. But this model is certainly one which deserves it. It is an excellent piece of kit. It does say on the packaging, DCC ready. And this was back in the days when DCC was still a very new thing. And I think it's still fairly basic. I think it's only a 6-pin socket that's on these. But you know, back then people didn't really know what DCC was. Certainly you couldn't really buy things ready fitted with it. But we're taking this out of the packaging here. We've got 2 holes in the back of the polystyrene. You just push your fingers through, and you can carefully push the model out. There's the front half of this locomotive. Well, I say the front half. It's the locomotive as opposed to the tender. We've got these very distinctive box wheels. These were very much a Southern Railway thing. And this is a lovely, lovely model. Again, an ugly duckling, but it's really been done to perfection by Hornby, and in a model that could have looked very slab-sided, in much the same way that Hornby 00 back in the 1960s managed to make quite a hash of what is a very slab-sided locomotive in the Class 28 Metropolitan Vickers Cobo. But they haven't. They've really made this locomotive come alive. We've got detailed cab interior there, but they haven't become so fixated as they did in later years, with lots and lots of separately applied detail, because quite literally you're not really going to see that very, very much. We've got, it's a basic 060, there's no outside valve gear or anything. All we've got is the lubricator linkage. Now I'm told on some of these models this was a bit of a weak spot and tended to break with use. But this locomotive has seen a lot of use, and that linkage has actually held up pretty well. The one bit which I have found has been quite delicate are these front steps. As you can see, that one's quite badly bent. It is a plastic that does seem to suffer a lot. It's very difficult to glue back in, but there we go. The weathering has been applied lovely, and Hornby's models, one of their Achilles heels has tended to be the wheels. I've always found they tend to have fat tyres, which there's something about them that just don't quite look right to me. But on this model, they've got things absolutely right, and it is just perfect in every way. This model's a bit dusty. It has actually been living on a model railway layout for probably best part of 10 years, 11 years. It is a long time since this model came out and I bought this. Now we see on the tender drawbar, it's actually got contacts on that, and that's because this is one of the first models where the tender as well had pickups on it to allow all 12 wheels of the locomotive and tender combo to pick up power. Now that's very important if you've got any kind of dodgy point work, uneven track work, or even just electrofrog points and crossings. The more wheels that you've got that are able to pick up the power, the better, because that really stops it from stalling. And this locomotive is an exceptional runner. Now we're going to put the locomotive to one side and we're going to have a look at the tender that's here in the box. I'm just going to move some of this packaging out of the way. Now again, pushing through with our fingers carefully the hole in the back, taking hold, careful not to do this by any of the fragile detail. There is a lot of fragile detail on these, and I think, in fact, just to illustrate the point, one bit has just there now fallen off. Now, these little bits on the tender were done so they could slide backwards and forwards to, as on the real ones, give access to some fillers there. But in all reality, I think these are parts that would have been better off to have been fixed, because they are fiddly. As you can see, I'm struggling there to get it back in. And I'm not even sure I've got it in the right place. They are very prone to falling out and getting lost. And one of these days I keep thinking to myself, what I should actually do is just glue them permanently in place, but I haven't really got round to doing that yet. But it's a nicely detailed tender. Again, we've got the box wheels on the chassis. There's a lot of weight to this, which helps the fact that it also picks up current collection from these axles and feeds it back through the tender drawbar on what is quite a clever arrangement. Later on, Hornby and Bachmann went for these awful little plugs that plugged in and tended to get pulled, difficult to get out. Wires would come adrift, it would lose conductivity, and generally a complete nightmare. But the system that they've used on this is perfect. I don't know why they can't just stick to, keep it simple, stupid. It really works. It's a lovely model. They go together very, very easily. To couple them up, you just align the spigot, push it down, and all of your electrical conductivity is in place, up and running and working there. The only niggle could possibly be the high fall plate between tender and locomotive, but that is something that afflicts pretty much every ready-to-run locomotive, and it's really by virtue of the fact that these things have got to go around much tighter curves than the real ones ever had to contend with. And I'm sorry, unless you run a very, very straight end-to-end layout, or you have a simply massive railway room, which really most of us do not have that luxury, you're going to need to have compromises such as that. We've also got early appearance here of the slimline coupling that Bachmann went in for in a big way, and Hornby kind of followed suit, and more recently Dapol and Helgen as well have got in on the act. But this was one of the early Hornby locomotives to feature this, well represented. The coupling on the front of the locomotive you could take out, and there was a lot of buffer beam detail that you could add. The only problem with this is, if you wish for the locomotive to run pulling a train backwards, or to run round its train, that sort of thing, or double head, really a bit useless. Fine if you wanted to put it in a display cabinet, but really that's quite a waste of what is actually an exceptionally good runner. Well, there we have it. I'm going to put those to one side because there is one final thing to look at in the packaging, and I have to apologise, we have builders working next door, So if there are odd bangs and thumps, it's because, well, even in a soundproofed studio, if somebody hammers on the wall with a big fat hammer, then some of that noise is going to come through. Oops. We have here, it has been opened because I did put some of the front buffer beam detail on. We have headcode discs, we have fire iron sets, all sorts of lovely bits and pieces on here, and the front buffer beam detail, even down to what appears to be a big lump hammer, very similar to what the builders appear to be using to hammer on the studio wall, but was presumably for breaking up huge pieces of coal that might have ended up in the tender, or maybe even to help break up clinker and stuff out of the ash pan underneath. But these are lovely moulded parts, and I believe Hornby later made these parts available separately as their locomotive detailing kit, but came as standard with this that you could add to it yourself. I haven't actually used a lot of these. I always think it's sacrilege to apply glue to what is such a lovely model, so I tend not to use a lot of these things, but leave them safely wrapped up in the little slot that it came in the box. Last thing that's in there, we've got our instruction leaflet. Basically, for the completely stupid, it suggests that you should never connect a locomotive directly to the mains electricity supply. You know, like, duh, because this is 12 volt DC and the mains is bloody dangerous. So there we have it. Another lovely review. This is a model that you can still pick up off the likes of eBay. I believe there is one listed in the new Hornby catalogue, but yet to see it in the shops, unfortunately. I do hope that Hornby resolve those supply issues, because when Hornby do a model well, they really do a model well. Anyway, this has been a unboxing and reviewing video from me, Jennifer Kirk. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it as well. Let other people know about the marvellous work that we do here with our train porn stash, and also other videos on books, on writing, on record collecting too. And don't forget to be absolutely awesome. I will be seeing you back here next time. I'm Jenny Kirk. Until next time, bye for now.
Boom! Boom!
Stop it!